You're still watching Urban Today. I'm here with the Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Rebecca Kadaga. So, Honorable Speaker, it's something that we had already touched on earlier on, but you can still recap it. I want to understand it clearly. What has been your schedule from Tuesday to today? What were you doing in the morning when you wake up? Where do you go?
Okay, unlike other days, I did not sit with the voters at home, because normally I take like 4 hours meeting people at home, but this time because we had the various circle meetings in the constituencies, I opted to come early to town so that we can meet with the village savings groups, their leaders, the circle leaders, and find out why is it that despite all the efforts of the government, the circles are not moving well. I've been driving in some of the areas and I find the circle, I know where the circles are, but I find that the offices are closed. And I wanted to, why don't you open your circles? What's the problem? So there've many issues which have been raised, and I came with the Minister for Microfinance, but today she's not here. She's gone to Mbale. But I'm here with the Commissioner for Microfinance, people from the Ministry of Trade, and the Uganda Cooperative Savings Union. They're also here. So they've come to help guide the population on how to manage their savings associations, emphasizing the issue of the savings, because a lot of people think if there is money, you can't collect it, you don't have to save. So we'll be talking about how they can strengthen their saving culture and improve the management of the circles.
And based on these 4 days, have you seen any changes yet? Do you think you're going to meet your goals of changing the attitudes, etc.?
I think that I'm quite excited because the meetings were very well attended, and the bulk of them were the leaders of the village savings and the circles. And because we were sitting together discussing different problems and challenges, I believe that now they know where the deficits are and that they're going to make some changes.
Okay, now let's get back to work now. I mean, in Kampala, session resumes next week, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're talking earlier again about legislation. But if it were in your power, what kind of laws would you pass? Are there any bills that you would prioritize?
You know, we've done a lot of legislation on issues of the economy, on issues of infrastructure. We have not done that well on issues of social welfare. You recall that we had a major battle with the government on the budget for health. And I can assure you, during my tours, I found that that battle has paid off, because I have actually, yesterday I met the doctors who are working the health center for us. And they've told me that because they are there, there's now a big influx of people who come for attention. So for me, I think that one paid off. So if it were within my power, I would focus more on issues of social welfare now.
And what's your take on the current checks and balances system? It's like the executive overpowers the legislation. Do you think that is accurate?
You know, I think that because people expect very quick results, they want results today. They raise a question today and they want results today. But I think that by and by, we are making an impact. That's why a number of changes are being made in the laws, a number of changes are being made in the policies. For instance, we have been battling over this returning of money at the end of the financial year to the central government. That has ended. It has ended because we kept on hammering it until the government said, okay, the money is ring-fenced for the districts, so that there is no gap in their performance. Even when the financial year ends, that money is available to them to use and they can account for it. But it has taken 20 years, you know. So I think that slowly we are making some inroads.
And do you think that there should be some changes in powers? Like, say, legislatures should have maybe more powers, or executive should have more powers in decision-making and passing laws? Yeah,
if our recommendations were binding, I think it would really help. But in some instances, they are not quite binding. They are recommendations. The executive can consider them or may not consider them, and we have no sanctions. Yes, so I think that if we had more powers, perhaps it would help more. Yeah.
Your party is preparing a constitutional amendment bill. What are some of the pertinent issues in this bill, and is it relevant right now, really?
First, I don't know what bills, because they have not been brought to the House. But I do know that there has been concern on issues of electoral reforms, basing on the experiences of the last 2 elections, where I think the country thinks that changes should be made. So I would be much happier if those proposals were brought now, so that we consider them early enough, discuss them in good time, and then give them to the country so that they know what to do.
Parliament has helped push the oil and gas production in Uganda. We're now close to it. Actually, we're into it. The Memorandum of Understanding was signed on Wednesday between government and the 3 companies. I have to congratulate you on that, Speaker. And is there anything else cooking in Parliament? What should we look out for from your house?
The public-private partnership, there's a bill which is coming. And then the revenue management. The minister made a proposal which would encompass all the revenues, but there was a view in Parliament that the oil revenues should be actually separate so that we can monitor them and see how they are utilized. So those 2 are coming. And then there's a few private members' bills, like on minimum wages and so on the death penalty. I think there's also going to be a bill on the need for compulsory immunization. Those are private members' bills which are coming.
Let us now shift to your career. What are some of your milestones and the challenges that you have faced in the more than 20 years that you have been in politics?
I've been able to make an impact. For instance, there's a book I'm writing which explains my work right from school, and how I first came here to the political scene, what I've done for the education sector. For instance, I have an education trust fund where I support. That's why the other lady was complaining in the market that I only support girls. I don't support boys, but occasionally I sneak in a few boys. So I've been supported more than 100 girls to study. Others have gone to the universities and so on. I've also supported the schools, construction, furniture and so on, books. Then there's a new program, but I think I'll not talk about it now. Otherwise, I'll throw the cat out of the bag. There's a new program. I'm going to start with the primary 7 leavers shortly, but I think I'll invite you when I'm going to do that.
Okay,
yes.
We'll be waiting. Honorable, you're the first female Speaker of Parliament in Uganda's history. How does that feel?
Of course, it's something really unique. We are not very many in the whole world. I think we are maybe 41. You're talking about over 190 countries. So we meet challenges, but I think we are making our own impact on this political scene. We are leaving our stamp on the legislative arena. We have made many changes, which would not have happened if we were not in the positions where we were. So it's a unique opportunity to serve the people of Uganda and also to serve the people of the world.
Well, this is funny to us. There's a lot of technology advancement now. You have now iPads being used in Parliament. Are you active on social media yourself? Are you on Twitter? Are you on Facebook?
No, I have a Facebook account, but I don't have the time and patience to deal with it. But I do have people who work on it. I have one. But it's very time consuming. You really, it's like a full-time job.
And it can get addictive.
So I have people who manage it, but once in a while I send messages. But the bulk is done by my people.
It has been in the headlines. The New Vision itself wrote that you have accepted or you have agreed that there was a threat to your life. But what is it about the letter bomb? Really, who would want to kill you? Who would want to harm you? Do you have any enemies, and why?
I don't know whether I can answer those questions now, because the parcel was taken to the police and taken to the government laboratory to examine the contents and find out the source. So I don't think I'm in a position to say anything now. But of course, in my kind of work, you do make enemies. Yes, it comes with the territory. Yes.
And then socially, people always want to know more about your family. Do you have any kids? Do you have a family? Who do you stay with? Where do you shop? Just lighten up that for us.
Well, some have gone back to school. There's one who's waiting for me to go back in the afternoon. They're there.
Thank you for watching. We have been talking to the Speaker of Parliament, REBECCA KADAGA. She has just finalized her trip here in Kamuli district.